Okay.
So I don't know if you can see that on
I can see that. I can see that. I would rather have it flipped because I think people look to the left to the right, the left to the right, but it's really fine. For right now, this is great.
perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin the recording as well.
Okay.
And
You can
yeah, you
take
should
that.
be good to go, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Streaming.
Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming in today. I'm going to take away that little stream. Just kind of give you an idea of actually what's streaming in our office now. So you can come to the classes via YouTube. So let me take that one away, and we'll get started here. All right. So I'm going to start to go over some slides, but we're going to go over today the web version, everything that you need to go into use the system on the back office. We'll talk about search and things that we've made upgrades on the search and some really good enhancements there. But we're going to start with just the basic slides right now. And I guess that won't work, so let me just start the slide. Okay, so the first slide is just talking about what it looks like when you log in. So everybody knows how to log in and get to this page. So that's the first thing. We want to go to the agent profile. I'm just going to go quickly through this because I'm actually just going to show you live and go slower and have you ask questions as you do this. So on your profile, you can add everything that you need to add. It is a dynamic saved search. So once you save it there, it goes to your website. It goes to the company's website as well. So when you change something, it changes it. So if you go to the website and say, hey, my profile's wrong, well, that's because you entered it wrong. You have to go back and change it because that's where it comes from. So then we have our agent websites, and we're going to talk about how you get from Home and Do to be seen in the world, the world of Google and the world of Facebook. All of that stuff is really, really important because that's how we're seen. So we talk about the MLSs and the evolution of the MLSs, and this is kind of showing you that we have 6 MLSs. We do have PPAR now, so their listings will show up if somebody lists in Denver. It's not going to show up on RE Colorado. So that's going to be a real plus for us, and your consumers are only going to see all of those in one place. So then it goes to the agent profile. This is we're building our team profile if you have one. Then the office profile is built automatically because all of these MLSs are integrated in all systems. Then we have our partners, which partners we haven't talked a lot about. We're not going to spend a lot of time today, but I'll have a class just on partners here pretty quick. So then you have the agent website, and this is how we start to build our sphere in the world of the web community. All right? So everything is built around you guys. We add all these things, and we now get to all the opportunities that are out there. So we go to hosting, okay? Hosting is also hosted from an agent website and a team website. You get your own website for free if you want to be indexed on Home and Do. That has 300,000 indexing on Home and Do. It can only go so far. But you as an agent can have $60,000 to $70,000 links on your website, and that's why you go to the hosting portion and the domain hosting. And so we've added 4, I think, in the last 3 weeks, and Doug James is going to add his and get started. He's working with it. So right now, with 26 different websites with the office, we have 600 and almost 604,000 links, and you can kind of see where you stand in there. And this is a weekly chart, so it changes weekly. Okay, there's another second page to that. Just kind of goes over Colorado Masters site and then also the Wanzig team site. Then you go to your dashboard and you can check the analytics on Google, how often people are actually coming to your site. And you know, that's our goal, is to get people to come to our site. Then we go to the team website. We're working, you know, hard to get that accurate, but it's built the same way as your agent website. Not going to spend a lot of time on teams today. Then we go to the how you do things on the team site, which is the same as the agent sites. All right, and then this page is your office teams. This is how everybody will relate and integrate. So if you have the staff member as the office users and your agents on there, that's just exactly what it is. You can't make the changes there. It has a different level of authorization, so you would have to go to Carla and say, hey Carla, this is not right, okay? And when she would make those changes for you. That's not something that you can do. That's at the agent, at the administrative level. So one of the things that just this little screen here is your office profile. This is how you're online and you open the door, okay? Every one of you guys can open the doors. We're adding the third door as we speak. So just so that you know that that is where you would go if you need to get in after hours. Every one of you guys have into this building, but I know if you're getting into this building. Then we have the marketplace. I've built this. We haven't really implemented it yet, but people and partners can put their wares on there, and you can order it directly through the back office here. And then that just shows you how you can do your online ordering. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Then we're going to go into search activity, and I really want to spend a lot of time on the search activity today. I'm adding New Mexico, but I'm also refining Colorado Springs and Montrose, Telluride. So we have 7 different MLSs now that are integrated into our app, plus the out-of-state ones. And as soon as transactions are completely done and I'm satisfied with it, my goal in the next year, once that's done, I haven't really started, is to get 100 brokers around the United States working together on the same platform, so we can send referrals back and forth, and the consumers are going to have the same setup. Because if you search in Pennsylvania or Florida, it looks the same way. There's no difference there, and you guys have access to those MLSs immediately. So then the dynamic search. This is something that you have not seen before because it's brand new. So if you look at the top here, you're going to start to see what this means. So you have USA, and you've got county, then you have Parker, then you have the zip code, and then residential active 5 days on the market. So you can start to really zero in on your areas by that dynamic search, okay? So if you wanted to just get even to the neighborhoods, that's what our goal is that every neighborhood will be loaded on there, and there's not a database in Colorado that has that function. I know RE Colorado tries to do it, but it's not accurate. Any broker that adds into a neighborhood, it shows up. So it's kind of interesting on that regard. Okay, the business activity is what we talk about, landing page, marketplace. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we're going to have a separate class on that. We've talked about this in depth, but this is where you have your quick pages, your landing pages, and you have the ability on your website to add those there. And then right now, we're adding the office to be able to look at all the campaigns, person call on those campaigns, so you guys don't necessarily have to. So we're working on that. I'm advertising right now in the newspaper. I'm advertising on 710 right now as far as advertising to kind of see how much traffic we can drive to our company site. And I've got some good feedback on that at this point. But just kind of gives you an idea of the business activity campaigns in Facebook. All right, now this is where you have your clients, okay? So now you have a lot more ability, which is kind of like a mini part of a CRM. So you can update your photos to your clients. They don't have to do that anymore. And then you can decide whether they're a buyer or seller or prospect so that you can categorize them later. Then you have all the logins, what they're doing, their cell phone, their address, all of this. It'll say if you just build a client and then don't have this filled out, you fill that out manually. Then the next is the going in and looking at their social networking, so they can add that and know that they're interacting with you. And that's on the business. So anytime you want to understand that, it's right here. This is just what you can add. The next thing is the relationship activity. You can score your clients. They have built this, and so I want you to start using this so we can get some feedback on how you want to improve it and work on that. That's just your relationship score. Can kind of talk about and make notes to yourself about those particular clients that you're working with. You don't need to have 20 or 30. You can have 3 or 4 and concentrate on them, and you're going to do better service as that works. So most of the time on the transactions today, and that should be just on your, so it goes down to your dashboard right here. And so go into your dashboard, your transition, your tasks, your contracts, pick sign. We're going to kind of go over that. So again, as you add your clients on a month-to-month basis, it's going to keep track of that on the buying and selling side. So it'll tell you right here, and it'll kind of highlight that. It'll highlight this. It'll tell you on your transactions boards what you're doing for the year-to-date, month, and the staff will be entering all of this information too. So you will be working in conjunction with the staff on this. So you'll know that you're not the lone ranger out there inputting information to you. So then when you go to your transaction box, that means you go to we're at the dashboard, we're moving down to the transactions, and this is basically one of the staff's dashboard. This is not your dashboard because you're not going to see mine or Joanne's. You're going to only see your transactions. Very simple. But the office has all of the transactions in their site. So the first box, once it's added, you started a transaction, it creates your unique email address. That's very important because this function now works. We didn't have it active because we had a bug and we worked on it for about 3 weeks, but it's back active now. So if you're trying to add things through your email address, and the best way that I do this is when I set up a client on my contact under their name, so under Steve Austin, I would put this in there. I would save that. And so that gives me, when I auto-populate his name, it will then show up with that email address. So now I got a voicemail or a text or I don't know about a text, you can copy and save a text, but anything that you want to save and you can get to email can be sent now right to this address, and it goes to that transaction. So that means you can save everything under that. You don't need Dropbox, you don't need anything else, because it's going to save it right inside your transaction. Once you create your client, okay, you click on this, it'll go right to that client in your client database. But this is the active transaction that could be here. It could be specific to this address. So you might have another one for Steve, because he might buy several properties from you. So this gives you the opportunity to have individual transactions set. You just have to have a separate transaction for each address, however you name that. Anything in blue you can change, okay? So if you wanted to Nepal Way, but you wanted it to save it some other way, you can do that, because that's your transaction name. As soon as you build this, automatically it goes down to participants, all right? This is where you want to add the people that are in the transaction. So you go down and you see that there's 2 in there. It auto-populates the agent and the seller, or the person that's doing the buying transaction. This is a selling transaction, so it automatically puts the seller in there. If you put other people's names in there, like an agent, it'll default to RE/MAX Masters. You just have to change that because you're logged in as RE/MAX Masters, so it'll default there. You just have to change it to Mountain Realty, and then it'll change that to Mountain Realty. The next thing is it shows the access level that they have in this transaction. And there's a key below this to tell you what that means. We're just inputting right now. We haven't entered that to the rest of the world yet to access that, though they will get access to it. But that's very close. Probably by next week, we'll be adding that function. It'll be actually totally live. So this is how you set up your transaction participants. So you click on the button that is right here. You see this button right there? That opens up this box. Very similar to other boxes that we have in our system, so it's not foreign to you. If you learn how to do a couple systems, it's all going to be the same. So you can check and give them access more or less. We have defaults that the office has given the participant based on their categorization, but you can change this. And all you have to do is hit the save button, it'll change that. So the first thing they'll open up is you put their name in, you put their role, you decide where they fall under these categories, you put their email and their phone number, and you hit save, and now they'll show up down in your participant category. So this shows you the emails. So it drops down from participant, now it goes to the emails. And again, when you send an email to this address, it shows up in this box. It's not going to show up anywhere else. So it's going to show up in this box. These boxes are linked together. So no matter if you download your files or you send it to email, it can then go down to the third box, which will be your transaction box. So it's just showing you, by this email, it comes in here. By this box, it'll show down here how you upload those. You have to send it to the computer and then upload those documents. No, you can just click on your computer and upload those, and then when you hit upload, it'll show up on Home and Do on a list of all the ones that you want, and then you can just say okay and click on those. Am I right, Susan?
Yeah, except for CTM.
Yeah,
CTM, you have to upload them from CTM to your desktop or somewhere, OneDrive or wherever you're uploading, and then you can upload them all.
yeah, and the reason why is because of viruses. Because if you send a bulk email and it has a virus in it, then it could corrupt the whole system. So we've eliminated that ability, which makes it a little more cumbersome, but it keeps the system safe. So again, this is the upload function. You were just asking about that. So you see how the documents are there, and then you just upload those documents, they'll show up here. Then,
There could be an alert to the staff for them to check on, once you upload the documents? Or how?
yeah, this is your communication button right here. You see that little red? There's going to be that's going to be on your tasks button. It'll show up by email or by going into the system, and you'll see a task button of what might be missing in yours. So the staff will have, I don't know if I know your question exactly, but the staff will see all the documents. They're the ones that can approve the documents, okay? And these are the ones that are mandatory and so ask your question one more time.
I guess once we upload, like I uploaded a listing contract,
Yes?
it says mandatory and everything, but I need to actually email the staff to let them know that I've done that?
No, it shows up. Whoever is your staff member, all those documents automatically, you don't have to email them. They see them on their side.
She's saying are they alerted that there's,
That I've done that. So
Yeah,
members
yeah,
know that they need to
yeah.
go in, there's a listing of
We're going to train. We haven't done any training for the staff yet. So that process will be, you'll be able to say, hey, Jim, I'd like to do this, but I don't want to send them 1,000 emails every time you upload something. They should, if they're yours, it'll alert them because they'll open up and they'll see new documents. It'll always, in our system, the documents come to the top, okay? That means that the newest things that are happening, they're alerted the first, okay? So this is just a continuation of once you upload the documents now. So you can see here that you've got your file name listing contract. This is still highlighted blue. You might have a big, long bunch of numbers on there, and you want to just say, hey, that's a listing contract. So you change it here, okay? And then this is the access right here. So if you want to see the document, that's where you just click on that to see which document. Say, well, I don't know what that means here with that long name. I better check on the document. So, oh yeah, that's the listing contract. You come back there, you change it to listing contract, and then this is where you categorize. And so this drop-down menu, as soon as you click here, this has been done here, but you would click down here and you see all the list of the documents that are in here that are appropriate in your files. So you name it to offers, you click it to the offers or lockbox code, whatever you want to put in here, and then it's done. You can say, well, this is not, a lockbox code's not mandatory, so you could put that as optional. But the bottom line is, we have already decided the mandatory documents, and as soon as they move to the staff and they approve that, and then we'll go down to the lower box. But this box is just telling you that, okay, I want accepted offers. I click that button there. So all of these, this should be done by you. This should be done by you. If it's a mandatory, because sometimes we have optional documents, like a disclosure, lead paint disclosure. It's not needed on everyone. It's a mandatory document, so you're going to have to know, yes, that's a mandatory document. It will still show up down here, but this is kind of a check to say it's mandatory or not. Does everybody understand this little box? Pretty simple. Okay, so what you were asking, how am I going to know? And you're going to be able to click on the history button. See this little history button? That's right there. It'll kind of update that for you. So you can highlight this and see, because sometimes you might have a property disclosure that's only signed by the seller. You need one signed by the buyer. That's why that's going to be updated there, because now you don't want to have duplicate documents. You want to have it just, okay, signed by the buyer or seller. Okay, this is to create tasks, okay? And that is on this task button right here. You see that? So you see there's one there. So you can look at all your documents and say, it's approved, it's green, there's nothing. It's going to move down to the closing part of the transaction, but you find one here, and it's got a missing signature. So that's where you're going to be alerted that you're going to know that it's a missing signature. This is how you communicate without having to email them. You look at your transactions, and if you're saying new, and they're not doing anything, you call them up and say, hey, you're not paying attention to me. So that is where that communication really lies. And then if you want to have like an old property disclosure that now you've changed, you want to get rid of it, you take that to the trash button. Nothing in this world is ever trashed in Home and Do. It's all one big space. Again, we have 5 different servers handle different parts, and one specifically just for transactions. And they're in Canada for whatever reason. They're the least expensive and the most secure. So that's where we have. We just didn't want to go in the bathroom of somebody's office downtown in Denver. So political joke, I guess. So again, going back to creating a task, it'll tell you that it's created by Eric, and it's on Nepal Way. Here's the agent's information, brokerage disclosure, and then it's signed to, and the nice thing here is it has a member. So if you have someone that's you're on vacation and you want to assign a task to a different agent, you can do that, and it goes to that agent. And then you drop down this menu, and it'll give you your normal fields, but then you can write your task here. And that'll show up every time that you click on that little red button. And remember, you always have to add create new, hit your save buttons. There's a checkbox and a create new. And then if you want to send it by email, because it's a really high priority, it'll know this guy's email and it'll send it right there.
So yours all say new, but on to the right of it, it has a little like thought bubble or whatever for the task, but there's not anything in that column except for like one. Are the little bubbles where the tasks are supposed to show up automatically, or something to get them to show up?
Okay, you're saying this right here.
Yeah.
Yes. So this, like I said, I haven't trained the staff on all of this yet. You guys are getting this first. But this would be, just click on that button if it's clear, and then you can create a task.
But on mine, so is it because I'm looking at it as Paul, or if I looked at it as me, would it show?
Yeah, there's different functions. You have a different function than Paul. Because you can approve his transactions, he can't.
So if I look at it as Paul, nothing will show up in that column, but if I look at it as me, all the little dots will be there. So
I'll have to look at that, but one of the things that you want to constantly do with us is at least once a week, is you clear your cache. Because if we create new files and approve those files in our transactions, and you have an old version, it won't show up. So that's one of the things that'll help you. Just remember, okay, wait a minute, in class I heard this, but it's not showing up on mine. First thing to do is go into a Google or Chrome or Safari, go into history, clear that so that browsing data changes and it doesn't stay, because that's just what the world has done. It always builds those browsing datas so it tries to load faster, and that's the one reason why it does. Does that answer your question? Okay. Because, again, you guys, this right here is tasks are relatively new, okay? It's been around, but we really haven't activated it. Okay, so we went to the right of task. So then it kind of shows you, it's almost like we're building a chat room. So it'll have his picture, and then you can write okay directly back to him. This box open up, the task opens up. So right there, you can pass business back and forth. It's pretty exciting because we got so many applications. Once we get to this point, then now the chat can even be in our classes and the things, all that kind of stuff that we want to do as far as adding this to our, and always, you always know that, hey, I don't like this, I want to send an email, so I know that that's the way that I like to prefer. You just always click on that, and you can send them an email, it'll duplicate that. But this is where we're heading. Okay, so once you do receive the tasks, it shows up on in your task button here too. So you don't have to go through every transaction now to see what I've got missing. You just hit the task button, and then it'll tell you the transaction that they're working on, what part of that, and it'll give you missing there, and here it is, missing, and then it gives you your notes. Fairly simple, goes right here. Contracts, I'm not going to go in. We haven't activated them yet, but it is built around the same thing as transactions. It'll look the same things. It'll go to your same transactions. It's all going to be fully integrated, but let's not go there. It shows you counter proposals, how you can add your counter proposals. Then it'll also go into the signatures, and it'll show you if the signature's signed or if it's been sent, so you can monitor that. And then always click on the transaction to see the document, and go right to the transactions if you have to. So everything goes back and forth through this. Then you can see how the signatures will show up. You can do this, or they can type in their name. They can do it both different ways. Okay, so now we're going to go live. So what we did was we kind of just did a practice of what plus. You get the screen a little bigger. Okay, so I'm going to open a tab that I'm going to log into the back office. Remember that when they're not logged in, the consumers can still go to this site and search. So they can search everywhere, Colorado, Florida. Networks, you guys, is the people that have been on it most recently all go to the top. All right, so if you're in it every day, somebody in the network, they're going to find you first, which is really the way it should be. The people that are using the system should be credited for that. And then it talks about benefits here, and you can always contact. It also has 3 different languages that the templates are changed, okay? That doesn't mean that every word in here is going to be changed. And everything that you guys do here, if I want to click to Mary Ann, she's on top, it has her video, has her information, has her properties in there, and you can also do comments right there, like a Facebook comment, and contact her right there. And if she wanted to post this to any way, Google+, she just has to do that and kind of post that. But this is really for the network. This is not intended to be websites. This is network driven. So if you wanted to find somebody in the network in Pennsylvania, you can do that. So we're going to log in. So I'm logging in as me. May be redundant, but you know, the homeanddo.me, the lead generation could be coming to the company and then sent to you. So we're working really on that. That should be done by next week. Then you go to your agent profile. This is the one that I just showed you guys, and then your website. Anytime you make a change in here, your video changes, you put social networking, you can see how now long and distinguished social networking has become. And so you fill that out, you hit save changes, invitation code, Then you have your lead program. If you look down here, right here, that's Grand Lake. So I'm a member of Grand Lake, and my name shows up if the public even sees. If you're proficient or you have Colorado Springs as part of your market area, I would recommend that you put in that zip code, because that zip code then will show up when consumers are looking at those zip codes for a broker. You can change your password as much as you want, but all I have to do is go to RXM, and I can see what your password. So when you forget it, I even know if you changed it yesterday, the big brother in here will know what your password is. It's not to spy on you, it's to help, okay? Access rights, this is the actual access rights that you have as an agent. And when an admin or an attorney, our attorney, his access rights may change. The front desk has limited access rights. Your clients have limited access rights, but that's on the bottom of your profile. It's on the, so you're saying you don't see this? No. The access rights? Okay, that's good. Sometimes I don't know if he's released it to you guys or not. I'm definitely on the beta testing kind of side, so everybody pretty much knows that. That's great. Email preferences really hasn't been turned on yet, but this just gives you privacy. If you don't want any of this stuff, you can just check that you don't want to be on there, and it won't turn that part on. And if you add something or delete it, you always have to hit the save change. Training Academy, these are fairly old, but they're trying to update these. These are anything that you want to know about those certain topics, so you can look at that. Subscriptions you don't have to worry about. Your wallet, this is money to pay for your website, or if you're doing any Google or Facebook campaigns. We haven't started those back up yet, because I'm not satisfied that we're getting the most bang for our buck. Until I do that, I don't want you spending money. So then you go to your agent website. This has your hosting. We talked about hosting this morning. And then you want to go to your template. All right, so your template tells you what URL that we're going to be talking about, and then the widgets. So you can change your colors by just clicking on that, and you can change all of your widgets here by just clicking on them. All right, and then you can see that we have military service, which is first responders, and we're still tweaking that, but we do have that ability to give the benefit of people that are really contributing more to society as an employer back to them. And then your pre-qual. And then you can decide which lenders that you want. If you guys have a partner lender, you can sign up and have them sign up for that, and they would show up in this space, so that when leads come from the lender, it'll from you guys, it'll also go to your lender. So then what you do is, after that, you have your quick links. This is who you're working with. I mean, who you want the world to know that is part of your world, okay? So I've got Colorado Masters, the Wanzig team, the favorites, Franktown, Parker, and again, so these are your quick links. These are the ones that'll show up on the when you search on your search bar in your website. So your website has a search bar, and all these quick links will show up, okay? And then this is your website SEO. So you just talk about your home pages. You just fill this out. And all of that is will show up on your website. That's what the website template's for, is all of that stuff. So make sure that's done. If you have questions, come and see me on that. So the next one is the news, and the news is very important because if you want to be linked up to the world, you want to be able to be putting news in there. News is different than press releases. This is something that you're going to copy and paste. All right, so copying, pasting is if you want to start a new one, you click on the blue one up at the top here, or if you wanted to see an existing one, then you go click on that. It'll take you down to what you have for that news, and it also creates the permalink, which then is sent, so you're adding another link to your website just by doing that. So you put in the title, you take the category, public. Remember, public means going to the company site as well as to yours. If you put private, it would only go to your website. If you hit Office Talk, it doesn't create a URL or permalink at all because now you're keeping it as an inner office memo type of a thing. Yes.
So is it better to be private and just for your website, or is it
No, because we're all together. So we want to have you guys go to public so that your news link is also on our website because now we're working together. You get credit for it, but now it's another place.
Because I just assumed that every time I put in the news on Paul's website, I was doing public, if I may, I assumed that was, because I didn't know, I wasn't even sure what private meant.
Right. It's not, I mean, the differential is only, is this. Private goes to your website, public goes to the company website as well, so that goes to both. My recommendation is to put both in there. But if you have a community story, now you want to make it community, it'll go to our community page only on our website right now. I've got to create a community page for your website, but right now, when you hit community, it only goes to the URL of Colorado Masters. So basically what you do is you fill out your photo. You can put a video or a YouTube video in here. You guys can do video and update that, and then it goes out to YouTube. You can look at it before and then have Carla work with you and then send it to YouTube, because that's a very, very important process of being seen in the world is videos. So one of the things that I want you to know here is that when you're filling this out, this is not filled out properly. So when you're filling this out, you want to make sure that the MLS number, select the MLS, you want an additional URL. That creates behind the picture. So that means that if you're on your website and the public says, I'm interested in that, it'll go to the website that you just referenced as far as the news, and now that's added out there as a permalink so that you're connecting to that news story to you. And so what I do on my news stories is I want to change existing home change. I don't want the same header as what the news organization is that you're quoting. You always want to give them the source, NAR, so we're not plagiarizing. We're giving them the source, but we want to change the header because then Google thinks that's new content, and then the NAR, then you just copy and paste that URL, hit the save change, and you're ready to go. Now, right now, you can see I've only got 1 star. I'm definitely going to tell Eric to default to 5 stars, so you have to change it because it's defaulted to 1 star and you have to change it every time. But, you know, that's a minor thing compared to the 100 things that we're working on right now. So you hit save change, and now when I go to that little change at the bottom is now 5 stars. Okay, so that's the nice thing about this is that you don't lose anything. You can make your little tweaks as you go, and it then, you know, repopulates out to the marketplace. So testimonials is exactly the same way. Okay, Testimonials was built the same way. You just have to do them. You should have at least 50 testimonials on your page, indexed to Google, indexed to Facebook, indexed to whoever, Zillow, making sure they're on there, so that this is a way that if in the negative you have a few negatives and you got 50 positives, well, guess what? You're going to kind of overshadow that negative one, and there's always going to be. I have a steady stream in my office with 100 agents and talking about the negative things, okay? I feel like an attorney sometimes having to look at just the 1% rule rather than the 100% of what we do, you guys get to do every day. Fun stuff, which is good. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that it's built the same way. The only thing that's different here that's really important for you guys to do is when you build one here, this is just I'm going to try and get it. So when you build a testimonial, I'm going to try and get a property, okay? This is a seller, okay? So we put the seller in there, and then you see the link. It says optional down here. This is the most important thing if you get out of this class today is this link right here, okay? I'm going to show you how, go through pretty slowly, how you do that link. And that means that this is just a copy and paste just like everything else. So I'm in my site, and I want to go to, let me see. I want to go to business activity. Nope, I don't want to go to business activity. I want to go to search in my office. It should go into marketplace. Nope, goes into search. Properties, okay. Under the search tab, you hit your properties. Now, I said this before, but if you go to a property right here, okay, it creates the URL. So all of this information that's on here is going to be sent to the web, everything, just the way it is. So if you don't want the MLS data in there, you have to not be logged in, and you have to still go to the same property. But I've gone to my property list, I've clicked on a property, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that, okay? Then I'm going to copy it and then paste it to that location. That will then show up when you're on your website, view property, and now the consumer is going to be able to view that property. You copy it from, you go get the MLS number, and you type it in your search, and you're logged in, so it's going to, you don't, let's see, you don't want to log in that point because you don't want to give the other agents that information. So what you do is you make sure that
So the way I did it, and I don't know if this is right, so I went in like as a custom, like as a person,
Right.
signing in.
Yes, and it's going to,
Use the search button.
right.
And then put in the MLS number. When it came up, I copied and pasted what came up at the top.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Put that into.
And because you were a consumer of Paul's, it's going to have Paul's face down at the bottom. So that's the key is that right now, this is my listing. Let's look at, I'm going to go to my website really quick. I'm hoping this one comes up, but one that's not my sale. Here's one right here, view property. So this was not, it's still got Remax Masters header there, but it's got me. See, so we made sure that it was me because I'm logged in. I don't know quite sure why that happened, but just make sure that when you're copying, pasting, that Paul's down at the bottom there so that you're not advertising the other agent. Because we are giving credit right here in the IDX. You see that it came from Ari, Colorado, Coldwell Banker 56, residential 56. So we're giving them credit as required in our rules, but you want to, on your website, the only person you want to advertise is you. Any questions on that? Yeah.
If I'm a consumer and I'm out there and I'm searching an area like, let's say, Bloomfield, does the profile for an agent out of your
Yes, if you haven't logged to that agent, so you're not committed already to me. Because if you're committed to me, then it's only gonna be me. Okay, you're a consumer, and you've already chosen me as your agent. So you've typed in Masters as your profile, as your link, and now we're linked together. So no matter where you look in this state, you're always gonna see me. If you're a consumer that hasn't chosen Agent Remax Masters and searching on any of this, there's up to 3 agents in that area will show up.
Will they rotate?
They will rotate. If there's 20 people wanting that, that zip code, it'll go to the 20, it'll scroll through, and every time you go back and you come back, it'll take a new 3 people.
Are there, if you're working more than 10 areas, is that the max for these?
Yeah, that's the max right now.
Is there a wild card that you can use, as far as your last digit or something to go over that?
Yeah, I mean, we can expand the fields to how many. What I want to do is try and get you guys working in an area that you're going to be known. And so that's the reason why you do that. It's not that I don't want you to get business outside of that, but if you're concentrating in an area, all of Google, everything that we're doing concentrates you in that area, at least to be the best known person in that area. Did that answer your question? So I'm in the search function. I searched everywhere. Okay, so this is the new dynamic search that we added. Okay, so I hit Colorado, and I hit, I'll just hit the status, and I only want residential. I can click more than one that I want. I can put in a school there, so you can search by school, days on the market, and the dynamic search doesn't show up right now. So, let me just get out of this. I'm going to exit. I'm going to show you how to clear your browsing data. It's this simple. The last 4 weeks, clear the browsing data. Okay? So now I go back into Chrome, go to a website, go back to the consumer. I'm going to log in. Search everywhere. So I click Colorado. I click the county. So now I want to do Douglas County. And then I click the city. Do you see how my cache was stopping me from getting the update? So I went and cleared, and now it's working. So I don't have to call Eric in Haiti. So let's say I want to look at Franktown, and then the zip code appears. There's only one zip code in Franktown, so I can choose that or not, because it doesn't really matter. It's not going to get me any less. But let's say that I choose, I didn't want to choose Franktown. So click Franktown. I'm going to click Parker. Okay, so now it has Parker, and the zip codes, you see there's 2 zip codes there. So now I can split those zip codes out if I'm looking for a certain area in Parker. So I'm going to click at 80134, and then I'm going to click the property type, and I'm going to say residential and condos, and I'm going to, the status, I only want active, but I can change any of the statuses that I want, and then I can go deeper if I wanted to. One thing you should know is about these email alerts, and I really want to spend the last couple minutes on email alerts so you know how to do that. And hit search now. And in my chain, you see how my chain, I can always check to see, before I look at my results, I can always to see if this is what I want. Oh, I forgot to add this. And we will have, in the next iteration, we will have subdivisions, okay? There's 87 subdivisions in Franktown alone with 1 zip code. So I think there's 50,000 in Colorado. So and there's no database that anybody has mapped this properly. So we're trying to take that task on, and they've been working on it for 10 days. And they get sidetracked on that because then they're not working on transactions like I asked them, but that's life in the big city. Okay, so I wanted to show you that, make sure that's right. If it's right and you want to email it, you can email it. You want to post it to Facebook. You can do a lot of things with this, but you see that little share button? That's the coolest button that we have on the planet here, okay? So I want to hit test and then Jim at, got to have a right email address, okay? And I'm going to say that I want this every 30 minutes. So that's what's going to happen is I submit now. Great, my search is in there. So do you see what happens here? I just added that to my shared search list. So this stream is going to search every 30 minutes to this email address as a name under test. So I go back here to my search activity, okay? And you see that same little icon right there, that little icon, my save search? I go here, and sometimes I might have to, the test one should have shown up here. It is there? Test, I'm sorry, yeah. I was looking at new search test. So it shows me there. And what it also shows me is that you see how clicks one, as they start to search, you'll see how active they are, okay? And they're looking at every day or every month or whatever. It shows the number of clicks that the consumers are looking at, okay? And then when they're done, I change it to Brown Moore. He's getting once a day. If his wife, if let's say that this search right here, so I'm going to go to Brown, and here's Brown search. And you see it's a U.S. Parker, Colorado residential ranch active for only 500 or 450 to 550. Now let's say that I hit this button, put his wife's name in there, okay, with her email, and then she wants to get it, she's looking all the time, and she wants to get it every 30 minutes. Or she only wants to get it once a day or once a week because she's casually showing that. So now, once I do this, instead of one person, there's going to be two people there. And I'm going to be able to see, this guy's looked at it 16 times. The wife may be looking at it 32 times. Now you know, without even asking, who is the decision maker in the household. Okay? It's just, it's a neat way to kind of start to see that. And then you're looking at the same properties that they are. And so you could glance at this, and you know what? You could say, I want to send him an email. So I have to put Brown. Brown and Kim Moore, who are my clients. I said, I looked at this one. This is the best one that I've seen. Do you want to go see it today? So it just is another way to keep in communication with your clients. I'm not going to send that because I haven't seen this property. But again, now you've sent him all of this information on top of what he's already doing. Okay?
And what accounts for a click or one of the counts?
They just have to open it up. The computer,
Okay.
they've opened, they've got an email, and they click on it. That's a click.
Okay, but if they move around in it, does that?
Well,
Notice there's some guy there that's got 50.
yeah.
Has he opened and closed it 50 times?
If you train your consumers in the way that I will hopefully that we will do, is that I go then to my business activity, and I go to my clients, and so then you can see at a glance here, Chris Griffith, he hasn't looked at it for a while, but if I wanted to see that he saved anything. He might have saved a property there as a favorite, and it'll show up on his list. So then, because this is what you want to check every day, is that list on your clients of who's being active out there. Judy Bowen is always, she's bought, I sold her, listed her house, sold her one in Elizabeth, and then sold her mom. And this in January, I saw that Judy was looking again, and I said, Judy, do you need anything? You're looking on the app. She goes, Jim, I love your app. And she goes, yeah, my mom's thinking about selling. And so I already knew that basically, because you don't even have to tell her that you're looking. Don't have to be Big Brother. You could say, hey, Judy, I'm just checking in. Is there anything I can do for you? And yeah, there's something that you can do for me. We had this one buyer that came in, this Bob here, that came in. He spent some time with me, but now he hasn't looked for the last 10 days. So I know that maybe I don't have a relationship with him, but if I was a good agent, I'd be calling him and saying, hey, is there anything I can still do? That kind of stuff. But you can see now, we still have people here that don't have pictures. So if we clicked on them and we add photo, we just add that photo from Facebook or whatever you're going to do, and it'll find that, and let's say that's the one, and guess what? Now that's the Roods, okay? And I can't change that unless I find a photo and update that. So Susan, help on that one. All right? But the nice thing also is if I want to send, now I'm in this database, I want to hit these, send them an email, I just clicked on one thing. It's already set the email up, and I'm ready to discuss whatever I want with them, okay? And the same thing with the phone. I can click on this phone, and if I was set up in our system, which I should be, if I clicked on this, and I would go into our server, I can use my phone to do this right from here. So now I'm clicked in there, and I can go back, and it'll work. I'll be able to call them from this line. But the nice thing about that is if you're on your iPhone, it automatically goes. Or if you're on an iPad and you set it up to your iPhone, you can call them directly from your iPad too. So there's some really cool little things that you can do. I don't know if you guys know this, but in our system, I'm logged in, and I go into my history, and I use this all the time because between Susan and I don't think we have a full brain that remembers anything. So I'm always asking her if she remembers this. She's always asking me that if I remember that. And the beauty of this system here, if I could get it to work, is it, doggone it. Okay, there's a whole history of the last 1,000 people that have called us. Okay, so I can look at that, and so Lori's called me already. My clients have called me. Steve Olson. So these are the ones that I've been in the meeting, and all I have to do is click on that, and I'm calling Lori. Okay, that's in our system. No one uses it except me, but it's certainly available. A lot of people like to use their cell phones. I do exactly the opposite. I like to have the phones all directed here, because when I go into my Outlook, all my voicemails, any one of those voicemails, if it would say, it says miss, no one's left me a voicemail there, you can see that it's all missed. But if I go to a voicemail, there'll be a message. You see, so if I go down here to that one, I can go down and listen to that message from Brian Nelson. And listen to it. It's down at the bottom, so.